because you don't want a wire floating around and hitting a ground somewhere. I always start with this one right here. Kind of lines everything else up for you. Alright, well I'm missing a screw somewhere, I'm missing a couple of screws actually, so there's one over here. This is meant to have a cover over it. This machine was missing the cover. You're going to find machines when you pick them up that are missing the cover, but when you go to get machines, you'll often find the covers laying around where you're going to get them. Grab the covers. When you finish this and you've put the cord on which goes through here and connects onto here, you have to make sure that the cover is on. Otherwise, someone could be moving it when it's plugged in and their fingers could come around and hit the terminals and get an electric shock. So this cover must be on. So pick up some covers and it just hooks in here, and then this screw actually holds the cover in and it covers this whole space here. So right now we're just doing this for training purposes, but if we were going to do this as a as a finished product, that cover has to be there, always has to be. I'm going to turn the machine back around. Okay, what we would do now, we would vacuum all of this out. When you're vacuuming around the motor, just go gently. There's copper coils in this motor, and you don't want to knock those around. So just go gently. It doesn't have to be spotless. Just go around it gently and get the worst of the lint off. When you're taking the motor out, if you need to replace a motor, and how you'll know the motor's bad, is that this has become very stiff to turn. All you do, put a screwdriver in here, this clip comes off, the same in the back. Just watch your knuckles when you're doing it, because they can slip sometimes. And then you take off the blower wheel on the back and the motor comes out and goes back exactly the same way. It's keyed around the front to fit into this frame here, and just you can see where the plug ends up, it just goes back in the same position. These roller bearings are both okay. What you can do is just a drop of WD-40 on the shaft and a drop of WD-40 on this shaft, and then that keeps them nice and quiet. Don't overdo it because it will collect lint around the shaft. You just need a drop. Also, when you're replacing these, sometimes you can get some debris that's built up on the shaft. If you notice there's kind of black gummy substance on the shaft, just get a piece of sandpaper and just clean off the shaft with it, so it's nice and shiny again. Put your new wheel on there, or the old one if it's fine, then you'll be fine. So here's the idler pulley. What we're going to do is connect it up here. It goes in this slot directly below the pulley for the motor. You can see this machine has two slots because some motors have longer shafts. What we need to do is just go below into the connection point below the pulley on the motor. I'm going to show you how the belt goes on without the drum, because you're not going to be able to see it with the drum in there, but this will show you the routing of the belt. Okay, if you can imagine the drum would be inside the belt there, this is actually the routing. And you can see how the idler pulley gives spring tension against the belt to keep it tight. Easiest way to put the drum back in on this is hold it up by the belt. The ribbed part of the belt points towards the drum. Just kind of line that up like so. This rear right bearing can slide up and down. Move this way. Slides up and down the shaft. Make sure it's all the way forward when you put this in. The bearings are actually going to run in this groove on the drum. Okay, it's back in there now. You can just let it hang. There's a little bit of a knack to getting it in. You saw how I was rotating the drum either way to do it. That's going to be a little bit of practice. First time it might take you 30 seconds. I think it took us about 7 seconds or something to get it in. But once you've done it a couple of times, you kind of get the knack for it. I'm going to go down here and put the belt back on. Okay, we're going to put the front panel back on now. There's 2 clips at the bottom, right and left, which match up with the holes. Good, then once you've got it clipped onto the bottom there, make sure the drum goes over the felt slider which was on the front panel. Now that's there, we're going to put the 2 5/16 screws back in. We're going to reconnect the wiring harness for the door switch. And just remember, if it isn't doing that, it's busted, but they hardly ever go bad. One more thing I want to point out here for you. There's a little plastic insert here, and this metal piece here, that actually holds the door shut. Sometimes these can break and the door doesn't want to stay shut. And the part number is in the manual, or you can buy these over at Sears. We'll lower the top, snap it into place. We've got the 2 screws which we took out, need to go back. When you put the screws back in, you need to make sure that they don't go down inside here. If they go inside here, you're going to have to take off the blower housing again and get them out because they're going to get caught in the fan. So just be very watchful when you're putting them in and you don't drop them down. And they don't need to be overly tight either. Good. Another little trick to know is if you scrap a machine, let's say you buy a machine with a dented cabinet, you're going to use it for parts, keep all the screws as well. Keep them in a shoebox or a jar or something, because you often find a screw missing here and there. That way you've got plenty of screws. Good, and that's it. All you'd be doing now is actually cleaning the machine up and making it presentable, and then selling it. And there you have it. Well, that's it for the DVD. We're all done. You saw how easy it was. Now all you have to do is just go buy your first set and you can refer back to the DVD and also to the course materials as many times as you need to. As I say, just buy your first set and get on with it. You're going to do just fine.